This is Irene Woods. In this video we're going to graft the beginning and ending of a strip of stockinette stitch together, and as you can see it makes a very neat seam. I hope you enjoy. This is another way to graft the beginning edge, which is this one down here with the waist yarn and ravel cord, and the top edge, which I have removed on waist yarn. The cast on edge will always be short half a stitch. That's just the nature of the way stockinette is made, and it always happens that way. Almost always when I'm knitting, I consider the tail a stitch. Some people don't do that, and if you don't like that method, that's fine. But I'm going to proceed with it that way in this video. I have threaded the tail coming from the cast on edge into a tapestry needle, and all I'm going to do is just take it down into the next row and out. What I've done in effect now is turn that half a stitch into a stitch. I'm going to take the other yarn tail and thread it into a needle. What I'm going to do now is fold the waist yarn away toward the knit side. And I'm going to do that on both the cast on and the upper edge. Make sure I have these two stitches up where I can get to them. Take the tail through the first stitch above the ravel cord, and this is kind of awkward to get started, and then come down through the first stitch on the back layer and then up away from you through the second stitch, back to the cast on edge with the ravel cord. Take the needle down away from you through the first stitch and then up towards you through the second stitch. Go back to the back layer, down, up. We're always returning to the stitch we came out of. Down, up. This is the stitch I came out of. So down, up. Back to the front layer. Down, up. To the back layer. Down, up. Try not to split the yarn, and try not to catch the waist yarn. If you do, that can be clipped, so it's not a terribly drastic move. Down and up. Down and up. Down and up. Down and up. This is actually pretty much the way I learned to hand knit, to graft in hand knitting. I did not discover Kitchener stitch for probably 20 years. I was taught to graft, and the end result is the same. But I found Kitchener stitch just really clumsy. I did learn to do it, but personally I think down up is just easier to do. Or forwards and backwards and forwards. Sometimes we use that little chant too. But again, down and then up through the last stitch. And then down and up. To finish it off, I went back and went down through the stitch on the rear side. See what a neat little seam we have across there? Let's pull out the waste yarn. And I have caught the waste yarn. That is so easy to do. Now, if you can't pull it out, and I probably would have trouble, you see how close I clipped that? Now it will just come loose. There is a tiny bit of fuzz caught in there. I'm going to pick this loose on both ends. Sometimes ravel cord has a tendency to make a little knot on one side. And there's our graft. See how neat that is?